Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Stand Together. We're etching close to the 30. Jump on, say hi, say good morning. Welcome to Saturday, day before Father's Day. Jump on, say good morning. Who's hanging out today? Mandy, Laura, Michelle, Dave, good to see you. Hey, jump on. Naomi, good to see you. Shane, good to see you. Jump on. Nikki, good to see you. Hey, good to see you. Julie, good to see you. Good to see you amazing guys jumping on from all around the world. Jalita, good to see you. Kaz, great to see you, and thank you so much. I got your gift. You got something else coming to you in the mail. Good morning. Jump on. Say good morning. Hey, man, good to see you. Good morning, everybody. Jump on and give me a good morning. Give me a hi. Hope you guys are doing super well. Jump on, and say good morning. Hey, Louise. Hey, Shane. Hey, Antonio. Hey, good morning. Good to see you guys. Welcome. Hey, Reese. Good morning. Good to see you. Reese is out there getting ready for his one-on-one. Hey, Darren, good to see you. Jump on. Hey, good morning. If you're watching the replays, well, give me a hashtag replay. I love seeing how many of you guys are watching the replay all over the world on all of the platforms as well. It's been so cool to see, and I've been loving it. Hey, Chris, good to see you, mate. Good morning. Good morning. Jump on. Say hi. Good to see ya. Hey, Mel, good to see ya. Jump on. I believe it's Florence's birthday maybe today as well, Mel. Let me know if that's true. If it's true, make sure you give Florence a big hug for me. And, of course, Jen, a big hug for me as well. Mariana, good to see ya. Simon, good to see you. Good morning. Welcome to another Stand Together. Welcome to hanging out and being a part of this. I hope you've been enjoying the journey, and I hope you've been enjoying being a part of what we've been doing every single morning, hanging out. And listen, one of the things I really wanted to talk to you about today. Hey, Boris, good to see you. One of the things I want to talk to you about today is a key lesson or a key indicator. Something to be working on, I think. Something to be working on within yourself, and it really is. I notice this as a determining factor in a lot of people that I meet that become successful, or starts to struggle to get on their road to becoming successful. And here's what it is: it comes down to their people's thresholds, right? I'll tell you what I mean by that. As I've gone and I've become more successful, I've realized that one of the things for me, and one of the things I've noticed in common for people that have even done even more than me, is their threshold that they have for tolerance of things like stress and fear and at times instability and risk, right? Their tolerance for those kind of things, like having some fear, being stressed, things changing, fear, change, risk, and their tolerance for those kind of things seem to have this kind of high bandwidth, this ability to do it. And I've noticed this around a lot of successful people that I meet. They have this real high tolerance for certain things that are really important in the world of life and business. When you're doing so many things, when you choose not to be the normal, when you choose not to have a job, work 9 to 5, have 2.5 kids, and buy a house, which is the normal. That's what society tells you is the normal. So one of the things I wanted to talk to you about today is I wanted you to start asking yourself, what is your tolerance? Like, well, have you got a really good tolerance for risk? Do you have a really good tolerance for fear? Do you have a really good tolerance for being a level of instability? Do you have a tolerance for spending money? Do you have a tolerance for stress? What's your level of tolerance in each one of those areas? Because if you find every time you're falling into being stressed or fearful or risk or if you find yourself falling into things like that, what you're going to find yourself is you're going to be in those sort of situations, right? That's going to happen as you go through the challenges with COVID, as you go through the opening and closing, as you go through business and life in general, you're going to have a lot of these things come up. You're going to have fear come up. You're going to have stress come up. You're going to have challenges come up. You're going to have changes come up. And if your tolerance for these major things is low, you're always going to feel challenged as you're going through your life and your business life as well, and things happen, especially in life, but also in business life as well. So today I wanted to ask you a question. What do you think your tolerance is when it comes to fear, risk, spending money, change, levels of instability at times, whatever it may be, and there's a few categories you can think about. And if you say, you know what, I do get stressed. When things change, it does throw me a little bit. When it comes to spending money, I do get a bit like, petty pincher. Because I don't know any really successful people. I don't know the majority of the successful people I know, as in like the major majority, are not like that. You might have some people, you might have a couple of people that, like I know one guy that is super wealthy and he has to authorize a stationary order, right? But he's incredibly unhappy, and he is, he's just not what a lot of people aspire to be. So what's your tolerance for spending? What's your tolerance for stress? What's your tolerance for change? What's your tolerance for risk? And if you're finding you don't have these high tolerance thresholds, you just kind of have to work on it. You might say, well, I had to learn patience when I had kids, and that's true for me. I had to learn a deeper level of patience from when I have children. I had to learn a deeper level of patience because I had patience, but nowhere near as enough as what you need to have when you have children. So I had to work on my level of my tolerance for the category of patience. So what are the key indicators I see in successful people? Let me tell you what it is again. There's lots of them, but here's the ones that I'm talking about today. That their ability to be able to deal, they deal with fear, risk, change, spend. So their kind of wealth mindset, their the ability to be able to change, challenges, all these, their ability, their tolerance for dealing with these things. They have built up a tolerance. So what we need to do is say to ourselves, have an honest check in with ourselves and say, hang on a second, okay, when something changes, how do I respond? When I feel fearful, what do I do? When I have to take risks, do I lean in, or do I go back to my pattern of let me think about it, right? Or do I listen to guys like Sir Richard Branson, and do I say yes and work the rest out later, which is one of his famous lines? What do I do? What's my tolerance for all of those indicators, all those areas, right? So I want you to think about that today. And if you say, I don't really have a tolerance for risk or change, or when I feel fearful, or if there's a challenge, I feel like running away. Well, we need to work on that tolerance level, because if you don't work on that tolerance level, I think that's where people talk about more about the glass ceiling. I think that's more relevant to it when people say, oh, there's a glass ceiling. The glass ceiling is always what you put on yourself, right? But if you find you're not having a tolerance for change, or for risk, or for fear, or for money and spending, if you're finding your tolerance level is not okay or high for those things, like you can risk a little bit more, or if there's fear going over, like, I can deal with that fear, or I think that's your ceiling. That's the ceiling that I see with a lot of successful people. You meet them and they feel like, all right, they make you feel calm. They make you feel like everything's going to be okay. They make you feel like they've got this. And that's because they've got this level of tolerance within themselves that if the world changes, like I just think about it, speaking of Richard, I think about it if I was in his shoes, when he's got 400 companies and 350 of those were exposed massively when the pandemic hit. But he survived. And he thrived. So his tolerance for risk, because he would have had to take on some risk, right? His tolerance for, there was risk, change, his tolerance for money, he actually cross-collateralized his island and raised about $500 million to make the businesses survive and a whole bunch of other cross-collateralization stuff that had to happen, right? So for his tolerance level is what got him through that pandemic at such a massive scale, right? So my question for you is, what's your tolerance level? What's your tolerance level? What's your tolerance level of fear? Perseverance? Do you give up? Do you give up? What's your tolerance level for risk? Do you have a money ceiling? Do you have a tolerance level for money? Do you kind of go, okay, I'll spend $100 on myself, but I would never spend $200. I'll spend $1,000 on my business, but I'd never spend $10,000. I'll spend $100,000 on my business, but I'll never spend $1 million. I would grow my business with my money, but I'd never get a loan. What is it? What's your tolerance level, right? What's the tolerance level within yourself? And that I think is going to be a key thing it's the indicator when I meet people that tells me where it's going to go. If I've got a business partner, that person has a zero tolerance for change or challenge or fear or money or uncertainty or any of that, well then, that's going to be a problem as we go through the journey together, right? So the thing is, right, what is your tolerance level? What is your tolerance level? And if your tolerance level isn't good in one of those areas, right, whether it's patience, whether it's perseverance, then I think what we need to do is we need to work on that one, right? I think what we need to do is we need to go, okay, all right, I know that I get like this. When somebody says, hey, you're not going to like this, I get that sinking feeling, I go, shit, and the whole world falls apart. If that's true for you, then you have to go, okay, next time that happens, breathe in, breathe out, focus on what needs to get done, and let's move on. My tolerance level for dedication. Do you run away if something gets hard? If you realize you do that, we need to work on that. Your tolerance level for spending. When someone says, here you go, this is going to improve your life, or it's going to improve your business, and it's going to cost you 10 grand, 20 grand, 30 grand, whatever. Do you go, no? But then you go and spend $200,000 on a deposit to buy a house. Why? Because you've been told things are safe as houses. You've been conditioned to told things are safe as houses. What's your tolerance level in everything? Because it's the tolerance level of people that I meet. It's the tolerance level of the people that I meet. They're the ones that I realize and recognize and understand why they've created some success, because they have a high tolerance level. I've got a lot of friends and I've got a lot of clients that I work with that are major celebrities in Australia and major, celebrities around the world. And guess what? They have a tolerance level for dealing with public scrutiny. They've got a tolerance level for dealing with the bullshit online they have to deal with when they're, writing an album and putting it out there. They have a high tolerance level, and they've had to build it up. They've had to build it up. They've had to build it up over the times they've gone. It's part of what you've had to learn. A friend of mine, Michelle Bridges, she has done so well in building her brand here in Australia, and of course she's had to go through some challenges. She's had some challenges, in the media, a couple of times, and the media likes to hate on and rag on her as well. But how she still maintained her sanity and got through that, and it's been challenging at times for her. I know it has been. But how she's got through that is because she's built up a tolerance for scrutiny. She's built up a tolerance for change. She's built up a tolerance for challenge, and she's now the top of her game in her field. Does that make sense? What is your tolerance for everything? What is your tolerance for everything in your life that's going to help you move forward? Because if it's not, right, then you're going to hit the ceiling. You're going to hit the ceiling. You're going to hit the ceiling of where you go, hang on a second. I can't get beyond that. I can't get beyond that because I don't have a high tolerance level. So what you need to do is this. If you're finding yourself with a low tolerance for a category that you really believe you need to be successful, here's the thing. You need to work on the tolerance level of that, right? You need to work on it. If you find you're not getting patient, well, you're going to have to learn to work on that, right? Breathe in, breathe out, and focus, right? And be patient in the situation you're in. If something changes, you have to learn how to lead to help yourself to stay in the level of stability, right? And I teach that with what I call the life DNA for somebody that wouldn't know. But instability and stability are a big thing in like instability and stability. If you have money, money was one for me because I came from no money. So then when I started to make money, I didn't have the tolerance for spending. So I didn't spend any money. I started to not spend money. I made money, then I'd start to be a tight ass, really, in life and business. And I realized something, that not spending money was never going to make me money. You know what I mean? It was money in, money out, money in, money out. And I learnt that principle. I had to learn the tolerance. What's your tolerance level in a whole bunch of different categories that are going to affect you and in your life? My kids are waving at me. What's your tolerance level? What's your tolerance level? Does that make sense? So recognize what your tolerance level is in different categories that are important in your life and things that you think are important in your future of where you want to go. Ask yourself the question, are you putting a ceiling above yourself? Are you putting a ceiling on yourself because you don't have a tolerance for one of the things that are important? Then let's put together a game plan on how you work on that. Whatever it is. Learn to be more patient. Learn to be better at spending. Learn to be better with stability and instability. Learn to be better with change. Learn to be better with fear. Learn to be better with perseverance. Don't give up so much, right? And start to work on those things and say, hey, do you know what I know? This is just something with me. I find that when this happens, right, when change happens, I generally feel a level of instability. I experience change as disruption in how I teach it. Does that make sense, everybody? Successful people, and especially with what's happening right now, a lot of your tolerance levels are getting tested. Your tolerance levels are getting tested. So if they're getting tested, it's giving you a chance to work out here is where you're peaking out. Here is your paragon, your apex. Here is the thing at the top of the game for you in each one of your categories, right? You got this top of the game for you. So we need to work out how to increase that, or else you're going to have this ceiling. We're going to have this ceiling that you're never going to get past. Does that make sense to you? It's super common in all of the successful people I meet. I'm always looking for these things, these indicators within successful people. These indicators within successful people. I'm always looking for those indicators. And that's one of them. It's a commonality in successful people. The commonality is their ability for tolerance in certain categories, like the ones I've explained. You go put that measurement up to almost everyone you know that's successful and successful long-term, and I guarantee they've got tolerance in each one of those categories. But there you go. You're looking for a commonality? There's one. Because I noticed that, and I've worked on that within myself. That tolerance in different parts. Make sense? What questions do you guys have today? Go. I can take a couple of minutes of questions. What questions you got today? What questions have you got today? Huh? Go for it. Hey, Mark, good to see you. Yeah, life today is the bomb. Any questions you guys can throw them in there? Hey, good to see you guys. Yeah, morning. Love that. Love that. Yeah. Love that. Love that. Yes, definitely. Your upbringing can definitely help you. But you can also work on that, you know, even if you've been not even in upbringing where you've had to deal with that tolerance, you can build it, because that would mean that only successful people come from challenging backgrounds, which is not true, because some people come from backgrounds of abundance, and they work a tolerance for being able to be successful, right? Tolerance. I think with tolerance, Lou. Look, I think with tolerance, one of the things we need to work on is working out which area. So you might say, okay, how do I think choosing to deal with something in the way that you want to work. I think you choosing to deal with something, and you choosing the way you respond, is an important part. So I think that tolerance levels can be built up by thinking about your construct, thinking about your perspective, thinking about your meaning that you put to things. Yep. And then take an action, massive immediately. I think that's what you need to work on. There you go. That's what it is. I think that when you want to work on your tolerance levels of each one, you need to think about what's happened, put it into perspective, give it new meaning that's going to serve you, and then take some action towards building that level of tolerance for the next time. Does that make sense? That's what I would do to build up the tolerance. Good question. All right, lovers, time for me to go and see my children. But it's about tolerance in each one of those categories. In each one of those categories. It's got to be that. It's how it works, right? It's got to be that. And building up that. But I think getting some perspective, I think seeing something for what it is, put it in perspective. I think working on the meaning it's associated to you, and again, this is going deeper than what I can do with you guys here, and then taking action on that. I think that's the change. That's the behavioral change that you need to start seeing in it. But you've got to first work out those indicators of those tolerance that you're not great at. That's the things you need to work on. Work on what they are, recognize them, know that's your ceiling, and then start working on those to increase those tolerance bit by 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 bit. Because that's what happens. Make sense? Love it. All right, legends, go kick some butt. I'll see you tomorrow for Sunday, Pancake Day, and double header, Father's Day. Much love to you all. Speak to you soon. Bye.